So, does anyone have anything that they want to mastermind about this morning or anything on their mind? Anything they want to share that's inspiring them?
So every morning, well, Monday through Friday, my neighbor and I, we've been walking together for like 2 years now, but I'm finding it very inspiring um, that we do our walk. I've started our mornings out very intentional. We always start with celebrations just like we do here. Tell me something good about yesterday or the morning or whatever. And it is very inspiring. The conversations just come out when you're walking in nature, and I can swear, I can complain, I can do whatever I want with my neighbor on our walk. I'm just finding it very inspiring when I come home after I clear my head and she gets to clear hers. And then we're like charged up and ready to go into our family because we both have small kids. So I'm finding that when you ask what is inspiring me, I was like, my walks really do inspire me in the morning to clear the clutter from my head. As I was saying, I was arguing with myself about getting out of bed as I do pretty much every morning, because my alarm goes off at 5:20, and have never called myself a morning person. I have structured myself to be a morning person and intentionally get myself motivated and moving in the morning. So that's bringing me some really good inspiration today to realize like the reflection and how I've said I want to journal after I come back from my walk because there's so many things cleared out that opens up some healthy space for me to, welcome in the new possibilities that has been a goal, but hasn't been a clear intention to get my butt to my desk and do some journaling right after walking. So that's inspiring me to make it a full intention moving forward.
Yeah, I love that. Actually, I had forgotten how inspiring just being in nature could be until I was on vacation last week and I just spent so much time outside and just sort of remembering how much I enjoy that and how I've kind of gotten away from that and how much time I spend on my computer. So really trying to like break from the computer more, um, and make like intentional breaks to like take the dogs outside and just kind of walk around the yard and leave my phone in the house and um, like really make that time for me. What about you, Tammy or Sister B? What inspires you in the morning?
So I'm fortunate to have a neighbor, a good friend. We walk on Tuesdays and Thursdays. And my world for my work, I always treat it as a vault. Everything's so confidential. I love that I have that with, I have it with a lot of friends and I have it with OP, and that, yeah, I totally understand what Beck describes, to go for this walk, have this physical just push, and then also to be able to just kind of share and just spill and just get different insight and come back and feel stronger, feel refreshed for having gotten that off my chest kind of thing. Some days worse or more than others.
And Sister B, you were going to share.
Yeah, I was just gonna agree with definitely getting out in nature first thing in the morning, especially this time of year where the weather's just so amazing and there's just birds flying. Yesterday, I walked out of my house and there was a fox sitting in my neighbor's yard, and then I got to the bike path and there was two deer standing on the bike path. Um, and yeah, it's just so inspiring to start the day with just all these amazing like creatures. A sister once told me creation is God's first scripture. And it really, I mean, when you think about it, it is. There's just so much to hear and see and be. And it is just really, if we can get our butts out of bed and take those first steps outdoors, like it is such an amazing way to start the day. Very inspiring. I would
Yeah,
agree.
and one thing I'll share this, it's sort of like a silly little thing, but when I was on vacation and sitting outside, just sort of like no tech, like just me and the dogs, I was noticing like the clovers in the grass. And I was like, I'm just gonna like peek through and see if I can find a 4-leaf clover. So I was like doing that, and the boys were like, "What are you doing?" But it was so interesting because it was like I found one that had a single like bead of water on it, just like sitting there. And then there was one, and there was like this little grub or something like crawling across, but it was like things that you would never otherwise see. And then I came home, and walking through my yard, I noticed how many clovers I have in my own yard. So I was like, guys, this is like a treasure hunt. But just excited about that.
So cool.
But we're at 10 past, so I'm going to let you guys go forth and conquer your intentions, and then I'll see you back at 10 till. Back to our recording. And if anyone has anything to share or anything they want to ask about.
Well, I guess one thing I'll share that has often come to mind, but just as I was chopping vegetables and stuff this morning, and our conversation around just nature and creation and being inspired, it's so, I don't know what the word I'm looking for is, but to think that all of nature just unfolds naturally. Like it doesn't have to be, it doesn't have to control itself. It doesn't have to plan. It just happens. And I think we were created to be that way too, like be and let things happen. So it's just I don't know, just cool to sit and think about and feel my way around. Like the seasons just happen, like they were created to unfold in a certain way. And trees, they grow, they get their buds and their leaves, and then they change colors, and then they fall off. Like, so just the naturalness and the organic, and vegetables, you plant a seed and it grows. Like it's not things that you force to happen. So it always makes me sit back and think, like, am I forcing that, or or am I letting it unfold? That's what came to mind as I was doing stuff this morning.
Gosh, I love that, Sister B. I think a lot of this thing when I'm out and about, like I'm on trails, and I marvel at some of the different areas I've hiked. And I often too, I've been using some analogies at work where diversity is concerned, because you see some of the wood areas thriving, and it's because there's such a great mixture of trees. And then you go somewhere else and there won't be that, and it's less. Like, I mean, that's just another example of how nature is so similar to us too. I love it.
Yeah, absolutely. I totally agree. And I think like for a long time, I really tried to control everything. And I thought like, oh, well, the busier I am, that means I'm working harder, and that means I'm going to meet my goals sooner. But what was happening is I was like too tunnel vision, and I was trying to control everything so much that I didn't leave space for the magic, or the things that I hadn't anticipated, or those little things that just make it more of an adventure. So I've been really working on leaving that space for things to unfold naturally, to see like, well, what's going to happen if I just let it happen. And that's definitely a daily practice.
Moment by moment.
Yeah. And I just find it so interesting how, sometimes when you're feeling pulled to something, there's a reason behind it, right? Sort of like this whole idea of nature just unfolding the way it's supposed to, or just letting things happen. So years ago, when I came up with the name for my business, which is Divine Willow Wellness, the willow tree is something that was symbolic for me for a long time. And I really wanted to include that in my business. And, what really inspires me about the willow is just that it's so incredibly strong and the branches completely bend and can shift and sway and move in a storm, but they don't break. And it's that strength of the willow that I was really drawn to. And then when I was on vacation last week, I was in this little store that was selling some natural herbs and things, and they had willow pollen. And it got me thinking, like, oh, I wonder what the natural benefits of the willow tree are. I had never considered that because I had always seen it as a symbol of strength and not as like a healing tree. So I did a little research, and it turns out that the willow bark is a natural pain reliever, and it helps with inflammation, and it's actually recommended for people who have rheumatoid arthritis, which I have, which I didn't know when the willow tree became the symbol that I wanted to represent my business. And now it's like I've come on this whole journey to realize, like, well, that's not a coincidence either. And just letting that sort of unfold and then seeing where that took me, it's just amazing. Just like you were saying, like when you see the trees go through this whole transformation and they don't have to do anything, it just happens. And I feel like a lot of life is like that. If you give it the opening, if you give it the space, if you give it the time to just happen, sometimes it's even better than you could have planned or controlled. Good morning, Nancy. You're just in time. We have 1 minute left if you want to let us know how your hour was or share something that's inspired you this morning. Oh, no voice. And we're inspired by you too. And we were talking about letting things sort of naturally unfold, and the reason behind things sometimes you don't know, but it's possible that, maybe your voice is giving you an opportunity to hear more, to see what comes out of the silence. Awesome. Anything else in our last few seconds that anyone
I'll just say that you guys, the conversation around the natural progression of being and growing, I'm soaking it all up and I'm absorbing the conversation, and it was a really good mastermind. So thank you for sharing and bringing your nuggets to it. And I love the idea about how you just shared about your business name and how it progressed for you. And that's really cool. Now I'm thinking about things for me too.
Awesome. Well, we are at the top of the hour, so I'm going to stop this recording.